Out of all the tracing to happen, I didn't think it would be happening in the book cover space, but I guess it is. So this is the artist in question by the name of Lenny Kaufman. They are an extremely popular book artist. They've illustrated a lot of books. I feel like half the books I see in the contemporary romance section is illustrated by them. I read this book out on a limb. It's a very, very, very cute story. The cover is illustrated by Lenny Kaufman. Lenny Kaufman on their story was reposting the stories by Elo's Reading Corner, and Lenny has illustrated artwork for Elo's. And Elos writes, "Hey, so tracing artist work is copyright infringement. PSA for my fellow authors, don't hire this illustrator." Here we have a cover. So this is Elodie's book illustrated by Lenny Kaufman and From Paris in Love. And here we have a side-by-side, beautiful illustration. And then we have this artist. So this artist is by the name of Absy Illustration. Again, don't send hate to this artist. This is to bring awareness, okay? Another example of an artist tracing my work. But here you can see the side-by-side of the artworks overlapped. So we have Absy's artwork overlapped on top of Lenny's. And Lenny says, those are the two arts laid on top of each other. Same face. As you can see, there's some differences, right? Like the hand, right? The hand position is different, whatever. Like the body shape of the hip is a little bit different. The face is 1-to-1 though. But look at the male character. Like look at the legs. They look so similar. The shoulder position, body position, everything. The face is a bit different, yeah, but everything else the same. People always make the argument, oh, well, you don't own a pose. You don't own the body pose of somebody sitting cross-legged. Yeah, obviously, Lenny is not saying she owes the concept of a guy sitting cross-legged in a chair holding a cup of coffee. But why is so much of the body shape extremely similar? Like, it only gets this similar if you trace, right? If you were to take a glance at the artwork and try to reference it, it wouldn't line up this closely. It just would not. Especially the face, the dead giveaway. And Elo adds, I wish I could say only my cover has been traced, but the cover of Andra M Designs that made for Jen Chipman, the cover Lenny Kaufman made for Steamy Lit for Abby Jimenez and Ali Hazelwood have been traced too. This is unacceptable and ridiculous. The number of times this happens and it's like, do you think we won't notice? Do you think we won't do anything about it? What's the thought process behind this? Because I don't see any. And Lenny adds, as Elodie mentions in her stories, the illustrator has traced multiple illustrations of mine and Andra designs. Here are the comparisons between the cover illustrator for Elodie and this illustration. Again, we have the side-by-side. The only thing different is like the body is just flipped. It's just mirrored.
So the comparison in real time. So this is my original cover I did for From Paris in Love for Elodie Colliard. So just to show the comparison, this is my original illustration. So this is the kind of traced illustration. At first glance, it might not be very obvious, but if we overlay them, you can see that the illustrator has trace the face, so it's in the almost the exact same position. The hairstyle is also very, very similar. I think she traced the hairstyle there as well. If we go over to the man over here, we can see that he's been traced as well. So the shoe positioning is in the exact same place. Even the shoelaces line up. So I'm going to toggle that on and off so you can see that.
The shoelaces being 1-to-1, the pant creases being 1-to-1. This one's like, you didn't even try to hide it.
Even this kind of little bump in the trousers, that's been taken from my illustration where there's a fold in the trousers there. And then his overall positioning, so he's leaning to the left in my illustration, and you can see the shoulders kind of line up. The overall pose is the same as well. So I would say the entire body position has been taken from my illustration, and just the only thing that's been changed is the face. Okay, so this was another illustration I did for Steamy Lit for Part of Your World, a special edition. And
Lenny is not saying, I own the pose of somebody holding coffee leaning to the left. No, it is just, why does this other person's artwork look exactly all the lines, even the bump in the pants lines up perfectly.
This is the illustration overlaid. So this one she's manipulated a little bit more, but you can see the feet are almost exactly the same. So if I toggle that on and off.
The feet are the same and they didn't even try to change the shoes. You really had to give your character the same, like, strappy sandal with the same heel strap. Had to be the same shoe. What?
In the exact same positions. It's the same sandals as well, and the same kind of shoe position.
The same legs for the dude as well.
And you can see from my illustration, she's kind of on her toes here. So the back of her foot is floating up, and you can see his shoe behind her foot. and she's copied that same position. So I'll turn my illustration off, but can you see that she's still got the floaty foot and his foot position behind hers. I did not use a reference for this foot position, so she's blatantly not used the same reference as me. She's traced. So that's for the legs. Again, same kind of leaning pose here for her one and for my one. And then I've just sort of adjusted this one. So you can see the face. I'm going to toggle the face on and off, but you can see the face has been traced. The hand position is exactly the same. So where his arms are by her face there and his back, that's also exactly the same. So
some people who trace do this. They will take your piece and then like cut it up and then resize it, right? It looks like this one, they like made the head a little bigger, or like they changed the size of the head relative to the lower body and thought they could get away with it.
You can see she even has the same wrinkle in his arm here. And she's just sort of changed his face. Yeah, she's kind of repositioned. I think she's elongated her characters a little bit more. But you can see the top half matches and the bottom half matches as well. So another illustration that she has traced. And also this one was the illustration I did for Bride.
That's this one. Bride, by the way, by Ali Hazelwood, was Ali Hazelwood's first fantasy book. I thoroughly enjoyed Bride. Lenny was the illustrator for Icebreaker, Wildfire, and Daydream. These are super popular. Yeah, Lenny is the illustrator for the covers. That's Lenny's work. Just because you traced, you know, all of the legs and shoes, but changed everything else up, it still meant you traced, you know? Like, if I go and walk into, I don't know, Louis Vuitton, and I steal a wallet, I still stole because I took something and didn't pay for it. That means I stole. I didn't steal, like, a big bag. I didn't steal, like, a crossbody or something. I took a wallet. Still means I stole.
So another special edition cover that I did for Steamy Lit. And this was her traced art. And you can see that it even has the same kind of cup detail in the bodice that I drew for the Steamy Lit illustration. She has the same hairstyle as well. So again, I'm going to toggle that on and off, but you can see it's the same hairstyle. And I'm just going to lower the opacity a little bit more. Yeah, so you can kind of see the hair is the same, hairstyle. The eyes are in the same position as well. She even has like a thigh slit. It's in a different position, but same sort of idea. And she has the same shoes. So it's got like a strappy shoe around the ankle. So just to give an idea.
Talk about not even trying to make it different, man. I'm sorry, I'm just laughing at the absurdity of it. Because, like, you kept the hair the same. You kept the bustier of the dress the same, the top half, right? Even the side, you kept the idea of a side slit. Like, come on.
Of how I work. I do use photo references to look at while I'm drawing. So you can see I got this body position from this photo. So in terms of the body position, you know, it's possible she may have used the same reference as me, but it's not possible that she used the same, you know, bodice and dress and like shoe detailing and hairstyle, because I made all of those up. So this doesn't happen by coincidence.
Honestly, the power of a good artist, right? Like, you cook it all up in your head. So you're like, yeah, I know for a fact they traced it because there was no reference. I literally made the dress design up myself. And can we just appreciate how kind Lenny is being? Lenny is giving a lot of benefit of doubt. Like, oh, maybe she used the same reference. It's overlapping one to one. That is very sweet.
Like, I just used this for photo reference. Everything else, the hairstyle, this bodice detail with the cup, and the boning in the corset here, the thigh slit, the sandals, that I just made up by myself. So those are all details that this illustrator has taken from my illustration, not from a photo reference. Similarly, for this sketch for Part of Your World, I used a few different references for this. So I didn't take this body position from one reference wholesale. I looked at this couple kissing. I liked how he was leaning, so I took inspiration from that. I also liked how this man was holding her face with his hand. And then I took inspiration from these two actors as well. So all of that combined makes this sketch. So I looked at these while drawing this. So you can see that, you know, it takes inspiration from several different places. So the illustrator did not happen to use the same reference as me. They copied this pose wholesale from my illustration. This doesn't happen by coincidence because as I said, I didn't use just one reference.
And Lenny adds in her stories, while it's entirely possible for an artist to accidentally use the same reference photos as another illustrator, it happens a lot, it's inevitable, we're all using the same internet and pose references. It is not okay to trace from another artist's work, and definitely not okay to take just the pose, but to trace the hairstyle, face, clothing, etc. That's the big one. Look, again, like what Lenny says, there are times where you might accidentally use the same reference, and the best way to avoid that is just like what Lenny has been showing, to use more than one reference, or like what Lenny was doing, use a reference, make it up as you go for the rest of it so that it's uniquely yours. That way you don't accidentally end up having something like overlapping too much with another artist accidentally because you just genuinely use the same reference. Do you think when we look at the art side by side, it definitely looks like the artist has traced over Lenny's work by far? Lenny also added, going forward, I will be calling out illustrators who trace my work because it has now happened to me on 5 different occasions. And to be honest, I'm sick of it. Most illustrators would never dream of tracing another artist's work. It is a complete liability and opens the author or client up to cease and desist letters and copyright infringement. Beyond that, if you are shown to be tracing, it makes you look untrustworthy and unprofessional. And I am personally all down for that. Again, Lenny's artwork is super popular. Lenny is the artist for Icebreaker, Wildfire, Daydream. I feel like, again, like I said, if you go to a bookstore and you go to their contemporary romance section, probably a quarter of the book covers are illustrated by Lenny. Okay, maybe that's an exaggeration, but a fair amount, right? Like, we can scroll. There's a lot of books. Love on Ice, definitely seen that one around. Here we have a big collection of books that have been illustrated by Lenny. Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. Second Chance Romance. Oh, this one's really cute. There's a couple others. Revolve. There's a few more that really, really ring a bell. Oh, Drop Dead. Drop Dead. That one's on Audible. I think I like listened to it a little bit. I could keep scrolling. Partially probably a little bit of flattery because her art is really popular and super cute. People are probably like, oh, I want to like emulate this in my piece. And then they just take it way too far by like directly copying Lenny's work. But we have this post by the Redheaded Rambler on Threads that reads, I looked at their page and knew the one on the left looked familiar, even down to the trees. So here, this is a book cover made by the artist Absy Illustration. And we have the guy kind of crossing his arms. And here we have Amy Davis's book, 7-Year Itch. And yeah, so again, sometimes when the illustrator is not named, it's due to the illustrator choosing to stay not named or to say private. So sometimes that does happen. Sometimes it could be because it was illustrated like, how would I say it? Through like a publisher. And so as a result, the character is not named due to the fact the publisher kind of like was the middleman for it. So it was just found through the publisher. The author didn't really have a say in who the artist was. Maybe the author had a little bit of a say in like the input, but that's about it. So the reason why I pulled up this photo as well is because an author by the name of author Emory Page says the bottom half of the heroine is copied from my book cover. And then the Redheaded Rambler says, holy cow, that's like super exact. I'm so sorry. And Emory says, I'm tempted to scream. Yeah, so the guy is also really similar. Like, if we put the side by side, it doesn't look exact at first. I have a suspicion though. Okay, this character is thicker. If we were to transform this, maybe we should be pulling distort. I did stretch the art piece a little wider. It's looking a little similar. Now, you could again argue, okay, well, she doesn't own the pose, right? And maybe it's just a generic pose of somebody crossing their arms and maybe it was referenced. The shoes are really similar. Now, again, it's a little blurry because I grabbed it off a screenshot that Emory posted. Why do the feet line up 1-to-1? From the knees down, it's so similar. You can see where the kneecaps are, right? On the jeans here. It's literally where there's that bend in the pants here for Emory's book. And if you go up here and you look at where the arms are crossed, again, it's a bit blurry, right? The arm position is the same! Oh my god. It literally seems like Absy took the art piece, and because the character in Bella's book is a bit thicker, they just kind of a little bit and we're like, yeah, we're good, and just do. They're never gonna notice. The head is different. Yeah, the head angle is different, so we do admit, right, that is definitely different. But where the arms are crossed, the knees below is all exactly the same. How does it get that similar? If you reference, it doesn't look that similar. And then we have the guy. And this is where it also gets very suspiciously similar. I need to rescale the guy a little bit. Hold on. If we rescale the guy, the shoulders are basically the exact same. Like, look at the body pose. It's the exact same. The whole upper body is the same. I had to rescale it a little bit so that it fit better. I feel like you get no joy out of completing art if you had to like heavily trace to finish your artwork, because then you didn't draw it. You traced somebody else's stuff to finish it. But yeah, if you look here, the whole upper body is traced. The leg position are also really similar, but again, I'll give benefit of doubt because the guy is wearing a kilt here, and the other piece from Amy's book, he's got pants on. It's some sort of like Frankensteining going on with the art pieces. I think also if you trace as a study, like use it to learn and you don't post it anymore, that's chill. Then you profit off of it. That's absurd to me, honestly. I also want to add, in case this isn't really obvious already, don't blame the author, but 99% sure the author had no idea that the piece was traced, was like, oh, here's an artist, I can commission the artist, da 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 da, yay. Did not know. You can trace whatever you want if you have the rights to it, if that makes sense. If you made a 3D model, you can trace that. If you have a photo of yourself, you can trace that. You took a photo of a plant, you can trace that. But that's your work. You're just tracing your own stuff. That's totally chill. Your own artwork, you could trace that. Other people's artwork, cannot trace that. Unless they gave you permission, then you can. So that's the nuance, right? Your own stuff, yeah, fair game.
Sorry for the quality drop. Realized that I completely forgot to cover the section of Absy tracing Andra M. Design's artwork. So this was posted on Threads by Emily McIntyre, if I pronounced that correctly. And Emily writes, me thinks Andrea is having her art traced by this person. And this got almost 900 likes on Threads. So here you can see this is Andra Design's artwork, which is character art of Bella and Ellie from Beneath the Stands, which is a book by Emily McIntyre. This is character art that Andra did of Blakely and Jackson from Beneath the Hood, another book by Emily. And here you can see overlap between an art piece that Absy made, where, as you can see, the body pose is very similar, but we could hypothetically argue that body poses, nobody owns the pose of somebody standing with their hip popped and the hand on hip. The face is lining up 1-to-1 though, which is looking very on trend for what we've seen from Absy's tracing. And yeah, just wanted to add a little example artwork that Andra did. If you are a book enjoyer, you've probably seen these books everywhere. These books by Emily have been really popular. I've been seeing them all over bookstores, and Andra is the artist.
Then Absy went on their Instagram story to apologize, and they said, I have had messages about my art. I want to make this post to hold my hands up and apologize. When I first started creating artwork, I was using other artists that I love as inspo, example poses for some of my illustrations. For the past couple of months, I realized my art was getting too similar to others, so I've completely changed my process and only use stock images and photos as references. I have learned so much about this industry and can honestly say I love it, which is why I'll be making more serious changes to my art process to ensure each and every piece is unique. I never imagined how much I would love this job, and hopefully it'll become my full-time career, which is why I want to fix this. I want to ensure everybody that's booked in with me or thinking about it, my reference process has changed. As I've grown as a person and an artist, I believe I've improved and become confident in my own abilities. I want to apologize to any artists who I may have used as a reference, as it was not my intention to steal ideas. I can admit I made a mistake in my early career and have grown so much. I no longer use other artists as references. I will be emailing authors I've worked with and offering a completely new illustration for free. So if we go over to Absy's page, they've taken down all of the posts that have been accused of tracing. They were originally up earlier, but they're kind of all gone now. So hopefully with that, they can learn, they can be better and improve and no longer continue tracing people's artwork. They clearly can draw. They are talented artists. They don't need to be resorting to drawing directly over people's artwork, and it sounds like they've learned their lesson. And honestly, the worst part is just the authors that are affected who thought they were getting like a legitimate piece from somebody and turns out it was traced, right? And I feel like it just kind of like kills the mood for your book, which really sucks. So yeah, I'm sorry to hear that for the authors involved and for the artists that have been traced over, including Lenny. So that absolutely sucks, but it sounds like Absy is really making an effort to try to improve and be better. So the biggest thing is just seeing in the future that they just uphold that. So what are your thoughts on the Absy situation? Again, please be respectful to the artist and to the authors, because the authors very, very likely had absolutely no idea this was happening. They seem to have an intention to do better, so hopefully they can move forward. But again, be respectful. And yeah, if you like this video, I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Don't forget to check me out on Etsy or VGen. I sell digital art there. Don't forget to check me out on Ko-fi. I also have free resources for streamers and creators, and I stream on Twitch 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturdays at 6 p.m. PST. So I hope to catch you guys there or in another video.